I'm so sleepy. I just want to go to sleep. Come on. You know, some idiots come to this room and always unplug the wire. I hate this. Okay, good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing today? I'm nervous. Nervous? Today is not the exam. Exam is next week. So we are going to do review today. And surprisingly, I realized that there is not much stuff to put in this exam. So yeah, I think our review will be short. I'm short. Because I feel like there are only few questions will be in the exam. We didn't cover that many important things to put in the exam. So let me tell you what will be in the exam, and then we will go over that. Let me get the review sheet out. So in the exam, there will be one solving either using quadratic formula or complete the square method. Come on, guys, class already started, no more phone. Please put away your phone. So there will be one question from question 1, something like question 2. There will be 3 of these. Okay. So it says use the discriminant to figure out how many solutions you have and what type of that. So we have 3 types of scenario. So for each type of scenario, you have each one question. So 3 scenario, 3 questions. One will be solve for x using complete the square or quadratic formula. One will be something like this one, multiple choice, where you're going to use the discriminant to figure out how many solutions you have. And it will be something with rational and irrational thinking. There will be 3 of these where you're going to use the discriminant and find out what type of solution you have and how many of those. X-intercept, Y-intercept. So how many solutions you have and how about X-intercepts, about those? Question 4 will be inside question 8. So 4 and 8, I'll combine them. One question from 4 and 8 combining. So 8 says find everything. Vertex, axis of symmetry, x-intercept, y-intercept, graph, and whether the vertex we got, does it give us a maximum or a minimum? So if we have an upside down parabola, we have a maximum. If you have an upward parabola, the vertex gives us a minimum. Okay, so question 3. And from here, I'm going to give 1 from the 4th degree. 1 from rational, and there will be extra credit on something like you have polynomial on the bottom. We're going to do an example. Like you have polynomial, and then you find LCD of the polynomial, you factor out, and then find LCD. So I forgot to put that question in here. So there'll be 1 extra credit for rational. From this 2 triangle, there'll be 1. Solving 1 triangle. There will be no calculator question. So in this exam, you don't need any calculator. So I'm going to show you the extra credit. From here, 1 inequality, oops, 1 inequality bless you, without any denominator, and 1 inequality with the denominator. Probably extra credit, I'm not sure, but 2 of them. From this type of question, I'm going to give 1. Why you have to find everything. Vertex, symmetry, x-intercept, y-intercept, gap, and figuring out max or min. 1 transformation. From these 2, 1. Either I could give you something like written explanation, or the graph will be given and you're just going to find out what's the equation of the graph, the parabola. And that's it. So I don't have many questions this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 10 questions with multiple parts. Oh, so I hope this exam will be short exam, not too long. I'm still making the exam, so I don't know the final amount, but definitely no calculator question. We don't need calculator for any of the questions we discussed. Any question? Comments? Tuesday. And I also mentioned what will be in the exam. You just missed it. But good news, I'm recording this. So you'll see what you missed, Why is fresh early? Oh, wow. Okay, so there will be 1 solve for x, either using quadratic formula or computer square, it's up to you. I will tell you which one is useful. For example, here our A is 1 and B is even. So complete the square is helpful. Same thing here, our A is 1 and B is even. So complete the square is helpful. This is 1, this is even. As long as your A is 1 or even number and B is definitely even, then complete the square is helpful. However, for this type of question, none of these are useful. Neither the complete the square nor the quadratic formula. Why not? Because these 2 numbers are too big. But good news, it was actually a calculator question. So if you have this in your final exam, you can use either one, but I would say quadratic formula will be helpful here. Quadratic formula, because you're allowed to use calculator. Okay, so when your ABC are big numbers, quadratic formula is useless unless you're allowed to use calculator. Okay, so it's up to you. What do you want to use? Quadratic formula, complete the square, but I'm going to show you one with complete the square because it'll be helpful. Let me pick C. C says we have x squared minus 4x equals 10. So complete the square says all you have to do is rewrite this as x with the sign b minus 2 square plus, so you're going to add this on the other side. So we have 10 here, and we are adding b over 2 square. So we rewrite this as x, and then we keep the sign b over 2 inside the parentheses, outside the square goes. And then if you have a constant here, you keep your constant here, but we have our constant on the other side, so no problem. We kept our constant on the other side, and we added the same amount, but in the square. So this thing becomes x minus, what is our b here? So 4 over 2 square, and then we add 4 over 2 whole thing square. And you're done with complete the square. Next, you're going to solve. So we have x minus 2 square, 10 plus 2 square, which is 4. In other words, bless you. In other words, we have x minus 4 square equals 14. Did I make a mistake somewhere? We have 10, so we added this amount square, and we added the same amount square on the other side. So it's 4 over 2, which is 2, and 4 over 2, which is 2 square, which is 4. Yeah, it's right. Okay, so our goal is to get this x alone. So what do you have to do? First, it is the square root, because our goal is to cancel the power first. So you're left with x minus 2. And since we took the square root of a variable, what happens to the other side? Plus minus. Always. Anytime we do the square root of a variable, one side must have to get plus minus. And then what do you do in the last step? To get the x alone, add 2. So answer is plus minus square root of 14 plus 2. Or x is 2 plus minus square root of 14. Or x is 2 minus square root of 14. And x is 2 plus square root of 14. All of these are correct. And see, it is simpler. We didn't do anything hard. And 14, I left 14 alone because it's not reducible. Whenever we cannot reduce anything, we just leave it alone. But if it was 24, we had to reduce because 24 is 4 times 6, and 4 is a perfect square number. So if you can reduce the square root, you reduce it. If you cannot, leave it alone. So in the exam, you'll have one question like this. Ooh. Any question? A x square 89. X squared plus 8x plus 9 equals 0. What do you want to use? Quadratic formula or convert the square? Okay. So convert the square says just from this we get x plus b over 2, which is 4, right? And then we have plus 9, and then we get the same amount, 4 with a square. So you add the same amount on both sides. If you put it on the same side, then you have to subtract instead of add. So if you're wondering what I did, I simply did this, x plus b over 2 square, b over 2 square. And we had our constant here, c. So x plus 4 square plus 9 equals 16. We subtract 9, that gives us x plus 4 square. What is 16 minus 9? 7. And then to get the x alone, square root. So x plus 4 equals square root of 7. But what do you have to put in front of square root of 7? Plus and minus. And finally subtract 4. So we get x equals negative 4 plus minus square root of 7. That's it. Ooh. But if you don't like quadratic formula, sorry, if you don't like convert the square method, feel free to use quadratic formula, no problem. Question? B. It's same process. Same. It's b over 2, so what will be b over 2 this time for b? For b, what will be b over 2? 5. So you do minus 5 inside the parentheses, outside the square, and then on the other side you add 5 the square. It's 25. Hmm? It's so when you're in the square, right? On the other side, it should always be positive. If you put it on the same side, you have to be subtract. You have to subtracting them. That's how you always put it on the other side, and we add them. And since you're solving, always put it on the other side. Okay. The next topic is about discriminant. Huh? So discriminant is b square minus 4ac. And based on that, without even solving anything, we can figure out how many solutions you're going to get or whether you're going to get any x-intercept or not. So when this thing is positive, we get 2 real solutions. That means we have 2 x-intercepts. But if that thing is negative, we get 2 complex solution, imaginary solution, It could be rational, it could be irrational, it doesn't matter. I mean, it depends on what number you have inside the square root. And it means we have no x-intercepts. Discriminant positive means two real solution and two x-intercepts. Discriminant negative means two imaginary solution, and since they're imaginary, that's why there is no x-intercept exists. And if you have a discriminant 0, then it means you have one real solution. In other words, you have one x-intercept. I should put equal. And rational, irrational, it means if you have a number that is not reducible. Huh? You have to memorize the formula. What is discriminant? Not reducible. If you have a number under the square root that is not reducible, it's called irrational. But if you have a number, a perfect square number, perfect square inside the square root, that means it's reducible. You can square, you can get rid of the square root. So it's called rational. So irrational means the number inside the square root is not reducible. And if this number is reducible, means you can get rid of the square root, then it's rational. For example, here, it says discriminant of a quadratic is 45. 45, so we have discriminant is 45. So if you want to see visualization of what is happening, it's negative b plus minus square root of 45 over 2a. This is the solution. So you can see clearly it's a real number, but it's not negative. So we have two real solution. And 45 is, it's not perfect square number. Not perfect square number. Since it's not perfect square number, that means it's irrational. Irrational. So we have two real irrational solutions. So two rational, no. One rational, no. No solution, no. Two imaginary solution, no. So we have two irrational solution. Two, because one is plus and one is minus. So we have two. And it's irrational because the number inside the radical is not a perfect square number. And it's not imaginary because in order to be imaginary, our discriminant has to be negative. But we have a positive discriminant. Okay. Any question? So I'm going to give one of these multiple choice in the exam. Or maybe at least one, okay? It could be one or more because these are interesting. In the next set, you are going to find out what's the discriminant. And based on discriminant, what type of solution you have and what type of x-intercept, or do you have any x-intercept or not? We have three scenarios, so you have three questions. You're going to do three of these in the exam. Not question text, but three questions that are announced. Three questions. 4 will be inside 8. So I can ignore the 4 here. And let's do each of them. No problem, we have time, enough time. So A says here 2x squared plus x minus 2. And our discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So we have A, we have B, and we have C. So what is B? So we have 1 squared minus 4 times, what is A? And C? Come on, guys. I'm asking a question, so you're supposed to answer me. So what do you get from negative 4 times 2 times negative 2? Positive or negative? Huh? Negative and negative turn into a positive. So it's actually positive 16. So our discriminant is a positive number. We found discriminant is positive. Hmm? I'm doing A. Oh, sorry, it's positive to my bad. Sorry. I didn't realize I miswrote. That's what I said. I'm so sleepy. I can't even keep my eyes open. So we have 2x squared plus x plus 2 equals 0. And we have 1 minus 4 times 2 times 2. So 1 minus 16, that gives us negative 15. So we have negative discriminants. How many and what type of solution we have? 2 imaginary solution. And how about the x-intercept? How many x-intercept we have? No, because x-intercept has to be real. But we did not get any real numbers in our solution. So no x-intercepts. We get 2 imaginary, but no real x-intercepts. Next we have B. Huh? Negative 15. No, it wasn't solution. It was discriminants. So solution is x equals negative b plus minus square root of negative 15 over 2a. It says just observe the discriminant and tell us how many solutions you are going to get. It says this, just observe this and based on this tell us how many solutions you are going to get. So we observe this and we find this is negative 15. So under the square root of negative 15, that's why it's imaginary because we cannot negative under the square. So we have imaginary from the negative side. We found 2, one from the plus side, one from the minus side. So we have 2 solutions, negative b plus b over that, and negative b minus b over that. But here they did not ask you to solve. It says just observe the discriminant and find out what type of solution you're going to get. If it's real, you have real x-intercept. If it's not real, you have no x-intercept. B says x squared minus 3x equals 5. We must have to see a 0 in one side. So we have to subtract 5. So x squared minus 3x minus 5 equals 0. And now we have our A, B, and C. A, B, C, they always have to be together in one side. If they're not on one side, they are not A, B, C. So again, our discriminant is B squared minus 4AC. So this time, what is our B? -3. So -3 with the whole thing square minus 4 times 1 times, what is our C? -5. So exponent rule, what is -3 whole thing square? Good, +9. And now we have double negative and multiplying. So they turn into what? So 9 plus 4 times 1 times 5, what do we have? 20. So we have a discriminant positive number. So how many solutions we have? 2 real solution. And how about the x-intercept? 2 x-intercept. Because our solutions are real. Solution means x-intercept. So if they're real, we have x-intercept. If they're not real, we don't have x-intercept. What is x-intercept? What is x-intercept? What does x-intercept mean? How many times it cross the x-axis? So when we don't have any real solution, it means we are not crossing our x-intercept. Sorry, we are not crossing our x-axis. So either we are lying above the x-axis, we are lying below the x-axis. And now we have a third scenario. C. X squared minus 2x equals -1. Can you go and find the discriminant directly from here? We cannot. We have to add 1. Our C is lonely. We cannot have C lonely. So we have to bring C next to A and B. Man, what's wrong with this? So we have x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0. And now we are happy we can find discriminant. What is our B? -2. What is our A? And C? 1. What is -2 whole thing square? So we have 4 minus 4 is our discriminant 0. What does that mean? What type? Real or imaginary? Real. We get imaginary only when our discriminant is negative. 1 real solution means we are crossing the x-axis only once. So we have only 1 x-intercept. So if you want me to draw their graph, this graph, -1, -1, +1, to negative b over 2a. Here, this is our graph. We have our vertex line is on the x-axis. For this one, we have 2 real solution, something like this. We are crossing the x-axis twice. And for this one, we have no solution. So, sorry, no x-intercept. How can we have a graph with, +2, whatever. Something like this. We are lying above the x-axis. They're not perfect, okay? I just guessed them. in order to sketch our parabola perfectly, we must need the vertex. And then at least something from x-intercept and y-intercept. If you find both, very helpful. But if you just want to estimate, at least one of them you must need, either x-intercept or the y-intercept. Huh? Of course, but not for this. You're going to draw for something like question 8. Why you have to find everything, vertex, x-intercept, y-intercept, and draw. But for this type, all you have to do is bring everything to one side, find the discriminant, and write these two down. How many solutions you have, what type, and how about your x-intercept. I drew them for you to visualize what's going on. Not here. Any question? No. So you're going to see 3 of them. In the next one, we are looking quadratic. To make your life easier, I'm going to give you only something from the 4th degree polynomial. So one of these. Pick which one you want me to do. Middle one? We actually didn't do middle one in class. It's a good choice. We have y to the 4 minus 65 y squared plus 64 equals 0. In this class, whatever you see, everything will be factorable. Except in the my math homework, it's not always factorable. But even though they don't look like quadratic, our trick is that as long as the bigger power is 2 times the smaller power, we can treat them as quadratic. So we know 4 is 2 times 2. So yeah, either we can use quadratic formula here or you can factor, either one. So your first choice always should be to see whether it's factorable or not. Can you think of 2 numbers when you multiply them, you get 64? When you combine them, you get 65. What are the 2 numbers? 1 and 64. So it's 64 and 1. How about the signs? When you multiply them, you get 64. So 64 times 1 is 64. 64 plus 1 is 65. So they're correct. 64 has to be negative because our middle term is negative. So if 64 is negative, 1 has to have what sign? Huh? So we have negative 64 minus 1. What is that? Negative 65. And if you multiply them, negative 64 times negative 1, it becomes positive 64, the constant term. Good. This time our variable must be the square one. Whatever we have in the middle, that always should be our factor, our variable in the factors. Okay, then our life is easy. We have y squared minus 64 equals 0 and y squared minus 1 equals 0. You have 2 choices. Either factor them more or solve it just normal way, but don't forget to put plus minus 1 into the square root. So it's up to you. Let me solve it normal way. We need to add 64 and we need to add 1. So we get y squared is 64 and y squared is 1. So for x or y. So we have to solve for y, not y squared. How can you get here the square power? Square root. Ta-da, ta-da. And we took the square root of a variable. So what happens to the other side? What do you put on the other side? Plus minus. Anytime you do the square root of a variable, it doesn't matter what is a variable, you must always put plus minus. And what is square root of 8? Square root of 64? 8. And square root of 1? 1. So we have total 4 answers. Y equals 1, -1, 8, -8. And they all are real. But it will not always be true. Sometimes half of them are imaginary and half of them are real. For example, C. Let's also do C because it has only 2 terms. But let me give you some moment to digest this one. They are easy. All of these are easy. All you have to do is factor and solve. Whenever you have 2 terms, anytime you have 2 terms, you have 2 choices. Either it's factorable. If it's not factorable, that means quadratic formula. Only 2 choices. Is it factorable? Fourth power doesn't help us, right? But if we have square power, it does help us. Our goal is to see, can we rewrite this as 2 perfect squares? Is it possible to rewrite x squared, x to the 4 minus 81 into something square minus something square? Yeah, we can see it clearly. This is 9 square. How about x to the 4? Can you rewrite x to the 4 as something square? X square. So see, as long as we can convert that into perfect square, it is factorable. In the factor, we add our bases and we subtract our bases. And again, you have 2 choices. Either solve them directly or you can factor more. If you don't forget to put your plus minus sign, you can go ahead solve directly. But if you tend to forget, it's better to factor. If you do want a factor, the first one is not factorable, but the second one is. What 2 factors we get from here? Huh? X plus 3, x minus 3. So x squared plus 90, x plus 30, x minus 30. We set each factor equals 0. So subtract 9, subtract 3, add 3. So I'm solving 3 of them together at the same time. So x squared is -9, x is -3, so we are done. X is +3, we are done. But we are not done with the first one. We can solve for x, we get x squared. So what do? Square root plus minus. Because we have a negative, it turns to an I, and square root of 9 is 3. So 9 gives us 3, negative gives us I, and since we do the variable, square root of a variable, we get plus minus. So we have plus 3 minus 3 plus 3i minus 3. 4 solutions. Actually, is this. And usually for 4 degree, we have 4 solutions. Usually, but not always true. Any question? one question like this, 40 degree. I would like to give you the other ones, but usually they don't come on in the final exam. Any question from anyone about the 4th degree polynomial? No. The next one question from here. Which one you want me to do? Yeah, middle one. I think we didn't do that in class. So it's a good one. We have 1 over x squared plus 5 equals 4 minus 2 over x. Do you remember what did I tell you about solving? Anytime they ask to solve for x, what do you have to see in one side? Huh? 0. So do you see 0 in one side? No. So let's bring the right to the left. So subtract 4 and we add 2 over x. So we have 1 over x squared plus 2 over x minus 4. Sorry, what is 5 minus 4? 1. 1. Plus or minus? Plus 5 minus 4? Plus 1. Equals 0. And now we are happy because we have 0 in one side, everything else to the other side. So you look at our denominators. What is the LCD of the denominators between x and x squared? X squared. So we want the same denominator on every denominator. Let me rewrite again. 1 over x squared plus 2 over x plus 1 equals 0. We want to see x squared here, x squared here, and we already have x squared on the first denominator. So since we want that, so whatever we do on the denominator, we must do on the numerator. So we want these. As a result, we need to write them on the numerator. What do we do next? Huh? We combine the numerators. So we have 1 plus 2x plus x squared, whole thing over our denominator once x squared. But you're not done. It's just solve for x. Is our x alone? No, right? So we hit denominator. So this time we need to get rid of the denominator. How? Not square root. We denominator on the denominator, and we don't want any denominator. So what to do? We don't move up. Instead, we multiply both sides on the numerator by the denominator, because the multiplication cancels the denominator. So once we bring everything to one side, we combine them using LCD. Once we combine them, we don't need our LCD any longer. We don't need the denominator. So we multiply both sides so that they can cancel out. In reality, you don't even have to do that. From this line, you can simply write the numerator on the next line without writing the denominator. What is 0 times anything? See? So let me rearrange our left side. X squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. I rearrange them so that we can factor this, if it's factorable. Is it factorable? can you think of two numbers multiplied to 1 combined to 2? 1. What will be the sign? Plus. What is our variable? X. Oh wow, we have the same thing. So if you just solve 1, you solve the both. So x plus 1 equals 0. That gives us x is 91. And that's our answer. Now we are done. I mean, not done yet. We have the same factor twice, right? So we don't have to solve it twice. We can simply solve it once and we get the same thing. Now we have to check, does it make our denominator 0? So we replaced it in LCD. If that makes the LCD 0, we cannot accept that. So LCD is x squared, and if x is 1, we have negative 1 squared. Is negative 1 squared equals 0? So we accept that. Because our x squared cannot be 0. But by replacing that, we don't get x squared 0. So you're fine. You have no problem. Any question? No. Now comes extra credit. Something like this one. Anytime a denominator is factorable, you always have to factor first. That's the rule. Previously, we didn't do that because none of the denominators are factorable. But this time, can we factor this? X squared minus 1. What factors we get? X plus 1, x minus 1. So in other words, we have 4 over x plus 1, x minus 1. And let's subtract the other side from the right to the left. Minus x plus 7 over x minus 1 minus x minus 1 over x plus 1 equals 0. So this is what we have. And I brought everything to one side because solving means 0 on one side. You don't have to do that, but this is one of the easy methods. We bring everything to one side, we factor the denominator, so other side becomes 0. And then what do? We want to have LCD. So what is our, let me do the LCD here. What is our LCD? Huh? Both of them, x plus 1, x minus 1. So the first denominator already has our LCD. But second denominator has what is missing. So we do x plus 1, top and bottom. And how about the third denominator? So multiply top and bottom by x minus 1. Huh? If you want to bring left to the right, is subtract the left. But what I did, I brought the right. It doesn't matter which side you move. Okay? If you have a negative, at the end you can just get rid of the negative by multiplying. Okay, so now we are happy with the denominators because all the denominators are the same. So we get lazy and we write the denominators only once. And we combine all the numerators. because you're solving here. So when you solve, you ignore the denominator. But sometimes you have to add or subtract. So when you do only add or subtract, you have to keep writing the denominator till the end. So if you don't make your habit writing the denominator till the end, when they ask you to add or subtract, you'll get lost. So I'm writing this because sometimes you must keep writing this. So we have 4 minus, let's multiply this inside the parentheses. What do we get? X times X. And then X times 1. Bless you. 7 times X. 7X. And 7 times 1. 7. And now you're subtracting the next one. X squared minus X. Again minus X. And then plus 1. So 4 minus X squared plus 8X plus 7 minus X squared minus 2X plus 1. Observe that I keep writing the denominator, the parentheses. Why? Because you're subtracting. Anytime you subtract more than one term, they change the sign. So all the plus sign you see inside will turn into a minus. Same thing here. All the plus and minus sign you see, they will flip. They will become opposite. So we get 4 minus X squared and then minus 8X. Because we added 1X plus 7X, that gives us 8X here. So minus 8X minus 7 minus X squared, and then the negative 2X will turn into positive 2X, and plus 1 will turn into minus 1. X plus 1, X minus 1 equals 0. And now it's time to combine like terms. Negative X squared, negative X squared. What do we have? Negative X squared minus X squared. What do we get? Negative 2X squared. Then we have minus 8X plus 2X. Negative 6X. And finally, we have 4 minus 7 minus 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 and 7. 7 minus 3 is negative 4. Perfect. Whole thing over the denominator. But we hate the denominator. So we're going to simply cancel the denominator on both sides. I'm too lazy to write down the denominator. We can simply cancel the denominator. We get, our goal is to solve for x, but we are not done because our x is not alone. So we have this. And what do you observe now about all the numbers? They're even, so they're divisible by 2. But right now, we are not going to divide by 2. Instead, we are going to divide by what? Negative 2. Because we don't want our x squared to be negative. So you divide everything by negative 2. So you get x squared and then 3x minus or plus? Plus. And then plus 2. Is it factorable? What are the two numbers we have? Plus 2 plus 1. So x plus 2, 0. And x plus 1, 0. That gives us x is negative 2 and x is negative 1. Are we done? Now, what do you do next? We check. Our LCD is x plus 1, x minus 1. And we know we don't want it to be 0. So what do you observe? When our x is negative 1, we have negative 1 plus 1, which is 0, right? So can we have negative 1 as our answer? No. Negative 1 makes the LCD 0. In other words, it makes the denominator 0. So the only solution we have is this positive 1. Only solution. That's what you have to check. What makes the denominator 0? We cannot have them in our solution. So good news, I'll put this as an extra credit. Bad news, sometimes actually they put this in the final exam. So even if you don't like, sometimes. But most of the time they give this question, something with x and x squared, most of the time. But sometimes, occasionally, they have this. Any question? So we are done with solving equation, and now we are solving triangles. Last semester they gave this one. But this is easier. This one is easier, simpler. And other one takes longer, but not bad. So which one you want me to go over? B? So B has both. Okay. We have 2x plus 1 hypotenuse. 3 is one of the leg. X plus 2 is the other leg. So anytime you see a right triangle, what comes in your mind? What formula comes in your mind? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So in a triangle, what is your C? Oh, it's the hypotenuse always. So in this case, it's 2x plus 1. And A, B doesn't matter. Let's say this is our A and this is our B. So we have 3 squared and x plus 2 squared. 3 squared is 9 simple. But what do we do with the other thing square? Do we distribute? Right. We cannot distribute. We have to use FOIL. It's plus 2 twice. Same thing, 2x plus 1 2x plus 1 twice. When you FOIL them, you'll get x squared plus 4x plus 4, and this will be 4x squared, 4x plus 1. Just solve for x. So when you solve, what do you want to see? In one side? 0. That means we must bring everything to one side. But before that, we know 4 and 9 gives us plus 13. So these two gives us 13. And to bring everything to one side, you can do either way. It doesn't matter, left to the right or right to the left. But I prefer left to the right because on the right, you have 4x squared. But on the left, you have only 1x squared. And we want our x squared to be positive. So we subtract x squared. We subtract 4x. And we subtract the 13. So everything on the left side becomes 0. And the right side, we have 3x squared. 4x cancel out. We have minus 12. Both of them are divisible by 3. So we get x squared minus 4 is 0. And then you have two choices. Either you do factoring more. So x plus 2, 0 gives us x is negative 2. X minus 2, 0 gives us x is 2. We keep x is 2 because the negative 2 doesn't make sense. Negative 2 makes our length b is 0. Doesn't make sense. So disregard this, and our answer is only 2. On my MATLAB, they want you to write down each side of the triangle once you know what is your x. In exam, we don't have to do that. Once you solve for x, you're done. It has 5, 3x, and 10. So you do the same thing. 5 squared plus 3x squared equals 10 squared. So what is 3x whole thing squared? Is it 3x squared? 9x squared. Common mistake people write is 3x squared, which is wrong. If you want to get your x alone, what do you have to do next? We don't want the number, so we subtract 25. We get 9x squared is 75 by 9. So x squared is 75 over 9. But before taking the square root, can you reduce this fraction? I remember last time you said the same thing. No. 3. So 3 goes to 75 how many times? 25 times. And 3 goes to 9 3 times. And now the final step is taking the square root. So we get, what is square root of 25? And square root of 3, we have no idea. But we cannot leave it alone, because we don't want the square root on the denominator. By multiply top and bottom by square root of 3. That gives us over 3. I don't have much space. And this time we don't write plus minus because minus doesn't make sense here. If x is minus, this length will be minus. It doesn't make sense. We cannot have a negative length. So it's simply positive 5 square root of 3 over 3. Any question? So solving one triangle will be in the example. One of them. It could be easy one or it could be harder one. One of them. For inequality, we have two types. One is without denominator. One is with the denominator. And I'm not sure whether both of them are mandatory or one of them would be extra credits. I'm not sure yet. Okay, from A and B, which one you want me to do? A? Let's do the B. We didn't do B in class. We did A in class. Right? If I remember correctly, I didn't do B in class. Anytime you are solving something, what do you want to see? 0. But we don't see 0. So what is our first step? We subtract the 18. So we get x squared minus 3x minus 18 less than or equal 0. So we know we have a parabola, an upward parabola, and we are looking at the portion that is below 0. Which portion is below 0? Sorry. We are looking at the portion that is what? Positive or negative? Negative. So bottom part is the negative, top part is the positive. The winner solution, it's definitely from here to here. But the question is, what are those numbers? What are our x-intercepts? So to find them, we simply factor them. What are the two numbers? When you multiply, you get 18. When you combine, you get 3. Minus 6 plus 3. So x minus 6, 0. X plus 3, 0. That gives us x is negative 3. So what is this number on the left? Negative 3. And that right number? 6. So we know our solution is from negative 3 to 6. Now you have to decide the boundary. Is it bracket or parenthesis? Why bracket? Good job. You just remembered that. Bracket because of the equal sign. So this is our answer. You don't need the table because we have our graph. Let's also do A because it doesn't require much time. It doesn't require much work indeed. A says x squared minus 3x has to be bigger than 10. We have the same problem. What is our first problem? What is our first problem here? Yeah. We don't see a 0, so we must move our 10. So we get x squared minus 3x minus 10 bigger than 0. Bigger than 0 means what? Plus or minus? Plus. So we have a parabola. What type of parabola we have? Upward or upside down? Upward. Same type of parabola like before. So in this parabola, what is our solution? Bottom part or the top part? Top part is a plus. Our top part is plus, our bottom part is minus. So we already know our solution. It has two parts, two portions. These two portions. So we know definitely on the left, we have negative infinity. On the right, you have positive infinity, right? On the left and on the right, you have positive infinity. So the only problem we are facing is what are these two numbers? So to figure them out, what do you have to do? Factor. What two numbers multiply to 10 combine to 3? Negative 5 and positive 2. So x minus 5 is 0. X plus 2 is 0. That gives us x is. And so what is this number on the left? And the right number? 5. So what is our solution? This portion, right? These two. So negative infinity to negative 2, and then 5 to infinity. Infinity always gets parentheses. How about negative 2 and 5? Parentheses this time. Because we don't have any equal sign. So anytime we are looking at above, it means two portions, negative infinity to positive infinity. And below means one portion if the upward parabola. But if the parabola is upside down parabola, then the scenario is the other way around. So you look at upside, but our solution is x because we solved for x. So you have to give the answer using the x-axis, not the y-axis. Okay? If you don't like my graphing method, feel free to use your table method. We definitely need to use the table method for rational. And this time, let's do this one. X plus 4, x plus 7, bigger than equal 1. We're going to do the same thing, but we're not going to use graph anymore. We're going to use table because we have no idea what the graph for this one. If you know the graph, you can use the graph. When you don't know the graph, it's table. J, no fun. So what is our step 1? Minus 1. So we have x plus 4, x plus 7, minus 1, bigger than or equal 0. but we cannot combine them until we get what? We want to have the same denominator. So we multiply top and bottom by that. Once we have our LCD, we get lazy and we write it only once. So we get x plus 4 and you're subtracting x plus 7. Remember, anytime you subtract more than one quantity, it definitely put parentheses. Unless you can remember that subtraction makes the sign opposite. So we have x plus 4 minus x and negative 7. So what happens to the top? When you combine like terms, you have plus x minus x. They cancel out. So we have no more x, and we have 4 minus 7. What is 4 minus 7? Negative 3 over x plus 7 bigger than or equal to 0. Our numerator doesn't have any x. If top doesn't have any x, ignore the top. We are going to ignore the top because we cannot solve any x from there because it doesn't even have any x. So we go to the bottom and we set the bottom not equal 0 because our denominator cannot be 0. That tells us x cannot be which number? Negative 7. So we found only one x value that we are not allowed to have. But still we need to check which interval from the left and right gives us something bigger than 0. What is bigger than 0? Plus or minus? Plus. And for boundary, what would be our boundary? For top, it's bracket, but for bottom and infinity, it's always parentheses. That's the rule. If you have an equal sign, whatever you get from the top gets the bracket, but whatever you get from the bottom in infinity, they always get parentheses. Did we get any x value from the top? From the numerator, did you get any x value? No, because we didn't even have any x value on the top. That means our solution set not going to have any bracket. It will have only parentheses because we did not get any x value from the top. Okay, so you have to check which one gives us positive, the left or the right or both or none. So what do you want to pick? Anything smaller than negative 7? Negative 8. Smaller. So we have negative 3 over x plus 7 becomes negative 3 over negative 8 plus 7. So the numerator is negative. And what sign you get from the denominator? Negative. Negative, negative turns into positive. And you're looking for positive. So definitely this will be inside our solution. And let's see what happens to the other side. So what x value we can pick this time? 0. We have -3 over 0 plus 7. That gives us negative over positive. What is negative or positive? Negative. So can you take the second interval? No. So what is our solution? 2. And they both get parentheses because we got them from the denominator. So the method, bring everything to one side, have your LCD, point of your LCD, combine the numerator, and then whatever you get from the numerator and denominator, if it's factorable, you factor them, and then set everything equals 0. Numerator, we set equals 0, denominator, we set not equals 0, because you don't want to have that number for x. And then we put them on the number line and we check each interval. Based on how many x you can solve for, we get 1 unit more interval. So we got only 1 x, so we have 2 intervals. If you have 3 x, you're going to check 4 intervals. And whatever interval gives us, whatever they ask us to find, we keep them, the rest we ignore. Go ahead, Freshly. Because numerator doesn't have any x. It's only a number. So number, we solve for x. Not domain, not range. What makes something, whatever they are looking for. So here we are looking for something bigger than 0 is positive. So which interval give us positive results? If it's less than 0, means you're looking for something negative results. So you keep all the negative results and we ignore all the positive results. Here it's the other way around. Any other question on this? Okay, now comes everything together. Vertex, axis of symmetry, XY intercept, everything. Let me do something with negative this time. Y equals negative 2x squared plus 12x minus 16. Step 1, find the vertex. Do we see vertex here? Is it given to us directly? No. If we don't see, that means it is formula. What's the formula for the x value of the vertex? Who remembers the formula for x value of the vertex? Negative b over 2a. If you forget, remember your correct formula. Correct formula was negative b plus minus 2a. Your vertex is this, negative b over 2a. So what is our b here? And what is our a here? Negative 2. So negative 12 over negative 4 gives us 3. So this is the x value of the vertex. Unfortunately, there is no formula for y. So if you know your x value, how do you find the y value? Not 0. We replace the x value into the equation. So we get negative 2x squared plus 12x minus 16. But this time, all the x's are 3. So what do? Do you multiply negative 2 times 3 first? Or do you do 3 squared first? 3 squared, thus. And what is 12 times 3? 12 times 3? 36. So from here we get how much? 36 minus 16? 20. And from here we get negative 18. And what is negative 18 positive 20? 2. So that's the y value of the vertex. The x value of the vertex gives us the axis of symmetry. Always. Axis of symmetry is a vertical line. So every vertical line has a formula x equals some number. In here, x equals the vertex. X value of the vertex. So we did vertex, we did axis of symmetry. Let's find y-intercept first. It's easier. How do you find y-intercept? Set x0 and solve for y. So we have y equals minus 0 plus 0 minus 16, which is negative 16. But let's say they want you to write as a point format. It's 0, negative 16. Let's find the x-intercept here. How do you find x-intercept? We set y0 and we solve for x. So we have negative 2x squared plus 12x minus 16 equals 0. What do you observe about all the numbers? They all are divisible by 2. But you're not going to divide by only 2, right? Because you have a negative 2 in the front. So we're going to divide everything by negative 2. That gives us x squared. And then minus how many x? 6x. And then plus 8. What is 0 divided by 2? 0. 0 divided by any non-zero number is 0. Can we factor this? We are finding everything separately. First we found vertex. Then we found axis of symmetry. Then we found y-intercept. Symmetry is always x equals the x value of the vertex. No, we solve for y-intercept. Y-intercept means all the x below Whatever remains, that's in y. Then you go for x-intercept, which is y0, and you solve for x. So, what two numbers multiply to 8 combine to 6? What are they? -4, -2. So, x minus 40, x minus 20. That gives us x equals 4 and 2. But if they wanted to write as a point format, 40 and 20. Now we have everything, all the information. So finally, we go for graphing. 4 and 2 were positive, so let me draw. Bless you. With this side. Our x-intercepts are 4 and 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. One of them is here, one of them is there. Bless you. Y-intercept is -16. Somewhere here. Vertex is 3, 2. So this is 3, 1, 2, somewhere here. So what type of parabola we are going to draw? Upward or upside down? Upside down. So from vertex, we go down to the x-axis. From the x-axis, we go down to the y-axis. This is one side. The other side is only the x-axis. We cross, and then you keep going forever.
If we get one like let's say I get this y-intercept wrong, does everything happen well or do I correct?
Perfect. So if y-intercept is wrong, that means your graph is wrong. Graph has 2 points. One is for perfect. You have everything perfect, you get full point. If something is wrong, you get 1 point. For shape. For correct shape, if you do it downward, it's 1 point. For example, here, if you got one of the x-intercept wrong, or both x-intercept wrong, so you're going to lose points for your x-intercept, but for the graph, you're going to get 1 point at least. Question? So I'm actually giving you the solution before the exam. You're going to do exact same thing in the example. Just the numbers will be different. But same question, same everything. And you have 2 more, and then you're done. Next one is transformation. Negative means reflection. So they both have upside down. Minus inside the parentheses, inside the square means what? Right. And plus inside means left. Minus outside the parentheses. Which direction? Down to. But plus outside the parentheses means up to. So let me actually draw both of them. Because I'm too lazy to write twice. You must draw the original one. Original one is 1 point. And then you transformation. So A says go right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go right 4 and down 2. and then draw a reflected parabola. So this is A. B says go left for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go up to here. But you're still doing a reflected parabola. So I drew all three on the same plane. Right means minus, down 2 means minus after you square. Left means plus inside the square. Plus 2 after the square means up. So you'll see one of them. Either going left, right, up, down, and a reflection. So this should be easy, 4 points. 1 for the original one, and the 3 for the other one. And I'm going to actually ask you one more point. 1 point to figure out what is your vertex. What is the vertex for A? For -2. What's the vertex for B? -2. So easy, 5 points. This 4, it looks like 9, but it is 4. 4, -2. And this one is -4, +2. Okay, now comes the other way around. Graph is given, find out the equation. So anytime you're finding the equation, you always start with the vertex format. That is the equation for any parabola. In this equation, we already know our vertex. This is H and K. So what is our H? What is this point? 2, 1. So this is H, this is K. So our H is 2, K is 1. So we have Y equals X minus 2 squared plus 1. But we are not done. Because we have no idea what is our leading coefficient. What is our A? That's the only problem we have. So we have to figure out what is A. Once we figure out what is A, we are going to replace this A with that thingy. And then that will become our equation. So the equation you're looking for is Y equals something X minus 2 squared plus 1. That is our final equation. Question is, what is that thing we are missing? So we go to the graph and get help from any point. Either you can pick this point or you can pick that point. Let me pick this one because in class I showed you work with that one. Now let's have picking this one. What is the x value at this point? What's the x value here? 4. And what's the y value here? So I'm gonna get the help of this point. 4, -3. So our y value is -3, our x value is 4. We have no idea what is A, but we do know the rest. We don't want this one, so we subtract 1 from both sides. We get -4 equals, what do we have here? 4 minus 2. 2. So we have -4 equals a times 4. And to get the a alone, what do you do? Divide by 4. So what is our a? -1. So the missing piece we are looking for is -1. See? Our goal is to get the a alone. So I need to get rid of everything that we have with the a. So it doesn't matter what they give you. They might give you a written description with X, Y, and vertex, or they might give you a parabola. And you just take one point from the parabola and vertex, replace everything into this format. So you must memorize this format. Replace everything, solve for A. Once you solve for A, you replace A and the vertex in the equation, and you're done. With this, we are done with our review. Yeah, we did every question correctly and perfectly. So remember, your exam will be next week, Tuesday. Don't leave, I forgot to take your attendance. Today is 10/24. Kaylin here, Daniela here, Alexis here, Sophia here, Evelyn here, Catherine Chen here, Sharon here, Kevin here, Emma here, Coran here, Kira. Kira, you're here, right? Kira, you're here, right? Kira. Ibrahima, Diani, Alex here, Jonathan here, Fresher Lee, Shinea, Nicholas, Zachariah here, Jean here, Roger here, Catherine Lynn, absent. Jaylin here, Yariel here. Huh? Catherine Chen is here. Catherine Lynn. I have two Catherine. Chen and Lynn.
The exam, they're gonna be more quicker.
No. Ashley here. How many? Whatever we went over today.
25.
I did not go over 25 questions.
I don't know. I came a little late.
Check the video. I'm gonna post after the bit. Vianney here, huh?
How many credit points is gonna be? Because I
Uh,
feel like I'm not gonna get on. You're gonna be like, show your work and do like subtract points.
Natalie here. I didn't make the exam yet, but it will be 4 or 5.
The last is I think I did kind of bad.
You got 89, not bad. Aditya
You said not
here.
bad. That means not good.
Come on. Jade here. Jamil. I didn't see Jamil today. Wow, he's absent.
So
Santiago here. Jayla absent. Skylar was here. Sing here. Fifteen. Yeah. Haley, come on. Do you think I don't remember your name? You are an senior student.
Just one more question.
Mm-hmm.